Hey guys, so I am going to be giving you my fall book recommendations. I think fall just started, like I want to say a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. But yay fall. I know, at least in my state, I'm in North Carolina. We recently had a hurricane, tropical storm situation. So I hope everyone is okay wherever you guys are. I hope you guys are good and cool. I'm good and I'm cool, but I hope you are too. So I do have about, how many do I have? I have 5 books that I want to recommend for you guys for fall. The first book is actually kind of funny. I don't own any of these books. All these books are like on my Kindle. I read like, honestly, like 80%, 85% of my books, I read them on Kindle. I don't like to buy books unless I already know I love them. So that's kind of how I go about my books. But the first book I want to recommend is called Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. This is the book I just read. I think I finished this like a week ago. This is a beautiful, I think this is, no, this isn't a debut. Coco Mellors made another book called Frankenstein something. Cleopatra and Frankenstein. So check that out too because her writing is amazing. So I'm sure that book is also great. But this book is like a literary fiction, adult family, and we are following 4 sisters. Their last names are Blue, which is why it's called Blue Sisters. And it really just follows the intricacies, that's not the right word. I can't find the word. Okay, but like, it just follows them and their lives, and there's like this big reason of why they've like separated and of why they aren't as close anymore. And you get that information pretty early on. I think it might be in the synopsis, actually. Yeah, okay, so I'll tell you. So one of the sisters passed away, and this is like a year, picking up like a year afterwards, and all the sisters have kind of drifted apart. They all have their own problems. They all are doing bad things that are like hurting themselves, and this is like a story of like exploration and of acceptance, and it was beautiful, and the writing was spectacular. I implore you, if this sounds even remotely interesting, I implore you to just get the sample, because the very first book, the very first page, the prologue, oh, the prologue is like fantastic. It's like, yeah, it's fantastic. Like when I was reading it, it was like doing something to my brain. Like it was genuinely fantastic. Love the book, love her writing. Moving on. The next book I have is None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. This is another book I recently read, maybe a month ago, and this is a thriller. I have to say that I definitely recommend the audiobook. You can check out my reading vlog if you want to see me read it. But I read like maybe 20% physically, and then I switched to audiobook, and it was so spectacular because in this setting we are kind of, I would say like maybe 40% of the book is told in like a podcast. And so, you know, when you get the audiobook, the way they are like doing the podcast is so spectacular. They have like, you know, 10 plus voice actors for this one book. They have amazing like sound. It is spectacular. I mean, they have like the freaking footsteps. It's creepy. And it definitely made this book even more creepy listening to it on the audiobook. So in this book, we follow our main character. We have 2 main characters, Alex and what's her name? Josie. Now, Alex and Josie first meet at a restaurant. It turns out that is both of their birthdays on the same day. So, and they're turning the same age. And that's called they called it something. A birthday twin, I think is what they called it. And later on after that, our main character Josie becomes pretty much obsessed with Alex, and it kind of like follows Josie, like watching her and like embedding herself into Alex's life, and then things happen, people die, and it's just kind of crazy. So this is definitely like fall vibes, a little bit spooky, but still like in the realistic, you know, world. So I definitely recommend this book on audio. The next book I have is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a book series, very popular, YA, what is this, like suspense, mystery, a little bit of romance, some crime. I think the way everyone has been describing this book has been perfect. I mean, this is really just like YA Criminal Minds. We have a bunch of teenagers who each have their own like special talent that is very, what's the word? Like, it's very helpful when it comes to like the government and like finding criminals and finding serial killers. So I would definitely compare it to the BAU, where it's just like everyone has this special talent. And we are following our main character, Cassie, and she kind of gets like, what's the word? Like, she gets asked to join the team, and so she joins the team, and then we have like a murder, and the whole group of teens are trying to figure out who did it and, like, you know, catch the killer. And this book and the book series also has like a little love triangle going on. I've actually only read the first 2 books. I haven't read the 3rd one yet, but I definitely recommend this book for fall. Like I said, it's spooky, it's got crime, it's got romance, very fast paced. You could genuinely read this book in like one sitting if you were really into it, like I was. The next book I have is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is a book where it's dark, it's moody, literary fiction. We're following our main character. It's been a minute. What is her name? We're following our main character. Oh, her name is Vanessa. Whoa. Okay, so we're following our main character, Vanessa, and we kind of go back and forth between the present time and the past. And what happened in her past is that she had a romantic relationship with her teacher while she was a minor. And we kind of get the whole story of that. And also she's trying to come to terms with what that relationship was and what it meant to her and to him. And then in the present time, if I'm not mistaken, the present time, it was almost like she was still in kind of contact with him, but there was like other women who had like come forward and said, hey, like I'd also had a relationship with him when I was also a minor, and they were like trying to sue him or like trying to take some, you know, civil lawsuit situation. And she was, throughout the story, she's trying to come to terms with and grasp what her relationship with that man was, because in her head she like loved him and he loved her. But the deeper we go into it and the more that she kind of explores what that relationship truly meant, and she goes and sees a therapist, it's kind of like, you know, no, this wasn't right, and it wasn't, and this was like, you know, this was rape, and this wasn't, like, he used you in a sense. And it was definitely like her exploration of that and her acceptance of that. And there's so many amazing quotes in that book that I highly recommend you read it. But the one thing that I will say is that I read this book on audio, and I do not recommend you do it that way. I actually read this book on audio, gave it 3 stars, and then when I was filling out my reading journal, I was trying to find like quotes that I liked to like add in my reading journal, and I found that no quotes really stuck in my head from listening to it through audio. So I went and I got the Kindle book and I looked through it, and I realized how like deep and how depressing and how dark and how existential this book truly was. And I don't think I was able to grasp that through the audiobook. So I recommend you reading it physically, in my opinion. Now, the last book that I have to recommend is a book that I am actually currently reading. It's also a book series, and it's the first one. It's called Pines, in the like Wayward Pines kind of world, by Blake Crouch. So this is like thriller, sci-fi, mystery, super creepy. If you might have heard of this book before, it's super popular. They also made it into a TV show. I think they did like 2 like different iterations of this book into a TV show. And so we're kind of following our main character, Ethan. And Ethan is a Secret Service guy, federal dude. He works, yes, he's a Secret Service agent. So he goes to Wayward Pines because some of his coworkers have gone missing. Other agents have gone missing in that town. So he goes in that town to try to find them, find some clues. And what ends up happening, I'm like halfway through the book right now, but what's going on is like he gets in a car accident while he's in Wayward Pines. He wakes up, he doesn't know what's going on. Everyone in the town is creepy, it can't be trusted. He tries to make phone calls home, calls aren't going through. The sheriff is acting weird. He can't find his wallet, his phone, his money. He has like nothing, and he's in this town where no one can be fucking trusted, and it's so creepy. And it's like ugh, it's just like gross at that point. And I guess one of the big points in the book that kind of jump off into like the plot is like one of the agents that he went looking for, our main character found his body, and it just becomes this weird thing of like the sheriff like trying to cover it up and do weird things. And look, all I gotta say is no one can be trusted in that book. And it's very, very creepy, and the more I read, the more disgusted and grossed out I am, but I do recommend it. But yeah, guys, those are my 5 book recommendations for fall. Let me know down below if you've read any of those books or if you have any recommendations for me, because I love to get recs. But thank you guys so much for watching.